Hello, my listeners. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. A pleasure to welcome everyone to this exciting moment. As in today's political discourse, we are to review the latest happenings. There have been contention, arguments, and of course, disagreement over the implementation of the Sharia law. This is no longer restricted within the northern states. The reps members from the northern hemisphere are now pushing hard to recognize Sharia law as a national law, which of course will have supremacy over the constitution of the Nigeria, not minding that Nigeria is said to be a secular state. This is what and one of the reasons why Nnamdi Kanu was crucified was envisioned when he was speaking out, when he revealed, of course, what is about to happen and the northern agenda. Some persons misunderstood him. Unfortunately, even his very own people.
Yes, thank you very much. Can I hear from Honorable Babajide Leke? Yes, I've seen you. And Master, then we round up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Leke Abejide. I represent the good people of Yagba Federal Constituency. I'm from Kogi State. Mine is an appeal because of the mood in the House now that this bill be stepped down for when we have all our leaders seated so that they can also contribute to the debates. I want to appeal that if you look today now, most of the leaders are on their way to Jigawa State to commiserate with them. Because of the sensitive nature of this bill, my appeal is for us to step it down and let us have a full house and full time to discuss this bill. We cannot rush it. The way we want to rush it, it may not even get the result that we want the bill to achieve. I'm not saying the bill should not go. All I'm saying is that let us have time to discuss it in full. As I'm speaking to you, I have not seen the details of the bill. So, and for us to be able to contribute meaningfully, we need the details of this bill. Without the details of the bill, if you are talking, you are only talking to the air. Maybe it's different from those sections you are quoting in the Constitution. And it may not have any issue to deal with it. Let us have the details of this bill so that we digest it and come back another day for the debate. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues.
Mr. Speaker, please put this to vote. Let's vote and move on.
All right. Thank you.
Let's put it to vote and move on.
Thank you. I think we are.
Order, please.
You know that our country is a unique country. No matter how you look at it, our diversity is what defines us. So when issues like this come up, it must be thoroughly looked into and should not be done in a haste. Let me ask you, how many of you have copies of this bill? If you have, I would like to know the percentage of people who have copies of this bill. And you can, if I ask you about one or two paragraphs, you read it for me. If I appoint you now and say, give me 2-3 paragraphs in that bill, and you're able to mention it to us, it means that you have it. Let me ask you, if you know you don't have a copy, raise your hand. And it is the rule of this house that you must have a copy so that you debate from that copy. If you say you have a copy, I'll call you now and I'll ask you questions on some of the paragraphs and the sections he's referring to. You will not be able to answer it. And this issue is an issue that we need to thoroughly
Order, please.
analyze.
Please, order, please.
It is our rule here that issues like this, we must have copies we look at. And if the copies are not there, we take another step. But I won't be taking that step from this chair. It will come from the house. So if the majority of the people say they don't have copies of this bill, whether it is good or bad, you don't have the copies, you need to have the copies for us to deliberate on it. Let me hear you, Nkem Kama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Kama Nkem Kama is my name. I represent the awesome people of Ohozara, Onitsha, and Ibo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Ebonyi State. Mr. Speaker, this motion is a very sensitive one. This bill is a very sensitive one. And before this bill can be talked about here or debated, one, I believe that all of us here should have a copy of this bill to look at it and be able to go through it because of the sensitivity of this particular bill, sir. Mr. Speaker, I don't envy you today, but one thing I'm very sure, I hereby move that this bill...
Please, somebody has the floor. Allow him to finish.
Please.
Then we'll recognize
you.
you.
And I have the position of the Speaker. I hereby move that this bill be stepped down today and let it be shared for all of us to have a look at.
Mr. Speaker, and my very distinguished colleagues, I am Awajin Nombeg Dagomie Abiante, Mr. Speaker.
His own people betrayed him. I mean, sold him out for whatever reason. You can see the truth is coming out now, and it's quite very interesting. This is no longer within the 12 or 19 northern states. They are now pushing because they believe they have the advantage to turn the Nigerian state as in an Islamic state. This is just what is needed for Nigeria to become an Islamic state. Of course, the Muslim ticket has been adopted, and people, of course, allowed it to skate through. Now, it is time to fully come out with the Islamization agenda of the North. And not very Northerner, whether in politics or in trade, whether in the bush, believes in Northern agenda of Islamization of Nigeria. And just as some persons believe the Usman Danfodio's agenda, of course, must be enforced and implemented by all means, Simon Ipa Nnamdi Kanu has been vindicated today. He was hammering on this, that this is the agenda of the average northern, of course, person, whether they are in the House of Representatives, whether they are, of course, tethering their animals in the bush. This is now coming out real. There is no point hiding again. According to Daily Post, this is what, of course, it has to say, that a bill seeking to make Sharia law not just a personal matter in the Constitution has been rejected in the House of Representatives. And this, of course, let's continue. The bill seeks to amend Section 24, 262, and 277 of the Constitution by removing personal in the application of Sharia law. You know what that means? That Sharia law was just limited to personal uh, issues or matters relating to marriage and other uh, family issues. But now they say, no, remove that personal, make it a national, enforce it, and everybody will be bound, of course, by the Sharia law and be judged, of course, by the Sharia law, which means an abrogation of the Nigerian constitution, which accepts and recognizes this different ethnic nationalities and, of course, different tongues, different languages, different way of worship. I mean, freedom of worship and expression, secular state. We will never see anything. Well, they are now pushing very hard. Of course, let's see what this has to do. The sponsor of the bill, Alihu Musal, said commercial entities find it difficult to operate, noting that the Constitution did not envisage entities like jars and tile banks. I mean, what has that to do? How does commercial entities find it difficult to exist in Nigeria? However, many lawmakers interpreted the move as an attempt to broaden the scope of Sharia law, which is often limited to marriage, inheritance, and other personal issues. You understand what is going on? You understand what is going on. Okay, Bamidele Salam, a lawmaker from Osun State, said the bill should be rejected because it has the potential to derail the freedom enjoyed by all religion in Nigeria. Of course, that is where they're going now. That is where, of course, the main focus is to silence other religion, and Islamic laws will be used against anyone. We must be careful with any changes to the constitution that could further widen divisions in Nigeria that have already divided across ethnic and religious lines. And this move will definitely widen it. People will now be waking up, of course, and removing the scars in their eyes to understand that Nigeria is gone. The Islamization agenda is now at the last, of course, stage, which is the implementation of the Sharia law, removing the personal to become a national issue that will be uh, the yardstick that will define every operations and activities in Nigeria. In any case, the matters my colleague seeks to address are already covered by the existing laws, he said. That is not, of course, there was so much drama there. And what does that tell you? Similarly, Awali Irobek, whatever it's called, said the bill should be stepped down because of the danger it holds. On the other side, several northern lawmakers supported the bill. Do you understand? Stating that the proposal is harmless. You can understand it? Other northern lawmakers supported the bill. Now, when people argue that the Boko Haram agenda pushing for Islamic State is being supported, the body language of the northern politicians, the traditional rulers, suggests otherwise, that they are indirectly or directly aware of what is going on. Just as over 24 local governments, of course, have been taken over in Zamfara, Sokoto, in Zamfara, Jigawa, and of course, Sokoto of recent have been hijacked. What are you saying? Sokoto is the seat of caliphate, Islamic caliphate, or Fulani caliphate, and you begin to ask, why should they empower the Sokoto state and other religious affiliations within those sites in the name of Sharia, in the name of Islamic movements, Islamic caliphate? This is happening now. Now, the national, in the national scope or scale, they are now pushing it. The final implementation that we recognize Nigeria not just, of course, as a secular state, but as an Islamic state is an enforcement, whether you are in Imo State, you are in Delta State, you are in Ogun State, that Islamic law will be binding on you. You see, whether you are a Christian or not, you are a bishop, you will not, of course, have the liberty to express your religious affiliations and professions that you will now, the Christianity or Christian faith will lose its total, of course, importance or relevance within the society. You will only be dictated or governed whatever the Sharia says. Sharia says, don't preach the gospel. It is a taboo. Is haram. You don't preach it. Now, look look at the move of the strategic move by the Northern House of Representatives. It was stepped down, but that was not the end. Of course, someone have to raise concern or raise a motion that let us put it to vote. And knowing fully well that the numerical strength of the North, at the end of the day, we have it, we will prevail. You see, look at the argument that the House of Representatives members from the north, from the southern side, are now, of course, forced to step up. They are no longer sleeping. They have not seen the reality of what has been said concerning Nigeria. They have seen the reality of what Mazim Nandekano has been preaching, canvassing. They have seen the reality of even what Maina, the former deputy governor of CBN, revealed before his eventual death. Of course, his controversial death, the controversial issues, circumstances surrounding his death, that this Islamization agenda is a well-defined program, and of course, a program that will be implemented by the northern political class. It is no longer hidden now. They are coming out to say it is time, of course, to strike because the target is well within the range. It's not just talking about the West, which has almost 50%, of course, Muslim population. Now, this is the target is the South, the Eastern region must be conquered by all means by the implementation of this Sharia law, not just as a personal law that address family issues of inheritance, of marriage, and of course other sundry matters, but now as a national issue that defines the way you live, the way you operate, the way the system should be run or governed. This is exactly where Nigeria is at this particular time. It is no longer an issue of denial. This is no longer the Mazin Namdekan is talking rubbish. The rubbish now is staring at us. Everybody, of course, is seeing the rubbish. You say Namdekan is saying the rubbish. Namdekan was promoting coexistence and tolerance, dignity, and respect of every other person who may want to profess any sort of religion, regardless of whatever opinion others might hold. This should be allowed, of course, to operate freely. But Nigeria is not a secular nation. It's just a secular in paper. Even in the paper, they are erasing it now. Just as the BRICS movement that want to introduce a new currency, and Nigeria is part of the BRICS that was recognized, China, Russia, and the rest of them. The official language adopted, of course, on behalf of Nigeria was Hausa language instead of English. When has Nigeria become an Hausa language or Hausa nation or Islamic nation? That the official language should be adopted, should be Hausa language instead of English, which is generally okay. Why not adopt Igbo as official language or the Yoruba as official language? You understand what is playing out now, but it's quite unfortunate that this is happening. This is to tell you that it is over. Now people are beginning to wake up, of course, with the reality staring at them. They have to now, of course, force themselves to reject that. Turning it down does not mean an end of that. Of course, it will be caught up, and the second reading might see the bill scaling through. And if it's been passed, that means it becomes something that cannot be moved. And everybody should be binding by that, including the bishops and those who say that Muslim ticket does not matter. It will matter for their head now. And the Islamic law can abolish and abrogate every right, of course, of expressing your own liberty or freedom. Of course, you know what that means now. A woman and a man and a husband and wife can no longer walk freely. It's quite unfortunate, and that is just where we are now. Mazin Namdekanu is now vindicated, and you are seeing it. Everybody is seeing it, that the right to your freedom, liberty, of course, of expression is about to be usurped by this implementation. Of course, they have the number to push through this bill, but how far that we go, of course, is a matter of time. as the Southern House of Representatives, I'm now fighting very hard to resist what would have been avoided in the first instance. But thinking you are fighting Mazen Namdekano, now you've got to understand that ekwere ihu iru ụlọ gbuo dike ụbọchị Ogumba Namba Echete Dike. Just as I will, of course, you will have to watch the video and let's see what is your own reaction regarding this development. And don't forget to hit the like buttons and share. Subscribe to this channel. It is now happening live and direct. Just watch.